What happened here in the summer of 1940? 3. Grafeneck, Traces of Memory. During an extreme heat wave, I fly to Stuttgart and rent a car to drive the 35 miles to Grafeneck. The printed Google map is useless. The necessary road is closed. The high road, which requires a bit of backtracking, is the only way over the mountain. Still, I get lost. In the small town called Gomandagin, nobody is out in the sweltering late morning street. There is no cell service. The town hall information center is closed. It seems Grafeneck is not on the town map in front of the closed town hall. The surrounding country roads are empty. If only the Spur de Erinnerung, trace of memory, a temporary memorial linking Stuttgart with Grafeneck, was still extant. From October 13th to 16th, 2009, over 7,000 volunteers painted an 80-kilometer-long violet trail on roads, on sidewalks, through towns, from the city of Stuttgart to the rural Grafeneck. As recalled by Suzanne C. Knittel, who grew up in the area and first visited Grafeneck on a school trip, the line has since faded away, leaving no physical trace behind. The concept of the vanishing memorial is probably the most powerful symbol of the fading of memory with the passage of time. Thus, the memorial serves to emphasize the need for a constantly renewed effort to remember. There could be no final word. Other projects and activities must come after it. Just as I'm about to give up, it is seen, in the distance, the Grafeneck Castle, high on a promontory cliff above the road. As I get closer, I see the castle building is yellow with white fringes, its roof a pale orange. Even closer, the green shutters of the symmetrically placed windows can be discerned. Built in 1556, the medieval Grafeneck Castle was transformed into a Renaissance hunting lodge for the Dukes of Württemberg. In the mid-18th century, the lodge was extended by Duke Karl Eugen to serve as a summer residence. By the 19th century, the property had declined. It had become a forestry office. In 1928, the Samaritan Foundation bought the property and turned it into a promised Protestant home for the disabled. In October 1939, the castle was confiscated for the purposes of the Reich. The location was ideal because it was relatively a new home for the disabled. The authorities didn't want older regional institutions to be associated with what it planned to do there. Also, the site was isolated, secluded, and protected on the Schwabian Alp promontory. By January 1940, Grafeneck was converted into a killing center. Living quarters, a registry office, and a police office occupied the castle itself. On the grounds, 300 meters from the castle, a shed to house the gas chamber, a crematorium with 2 ovens, and a place for the gray transport buses were built. By 1940, 100 staff members were already in place. On January 18, 1940, a few weeks after the test killing in Brandenburg, the first T4 victims were killed at Grafeneck. From January to December 1940, 10,654 disabled people were murdered at Grafeneck. Michael S. Bryant, in Confronting the Good Death, writes of the Grafeneck staff's effort to obstruct public knowledge of the killings. Grafeneck staff monitored the hometowns of the victims with colored pins stuck into a map of Germany. In this way, they could ensure that suspicion would not be aroused by issuing too many death notices for patients from any one location. By the end of the year, the regional population of those deemed unworthy of life had been killed. The facility was closed. Most of the staff was sent to Hadamar. In 1941, the castle was used as a Nazi youth retreat. In 1946-47, the French occupying authorities used it as an orphanage for French children displaced by the war. According to Knittel, the Samaritan Foundation, which reclaimed the site in 1947, proffers itself as the reason that its residents at the time of the end of the official T4 program escaped deportation to other institutions. Knittel divulges the actual reason is they had slipped through the Action T4's net as a result of having been transferred several times to various homes. The fact that the Samaritan Foundation also actively supported the Nazi regime's coercive sterilization in the years before the war is conveniently forgotten. She adds, similarly, the fact that the foundation received 25,000 Reichsmarks in compensation for ceding Grafeneck to the Nazis has only recently come to light. Grafeneck is still a Samaritan facility today. On top of the hill is a community unto itself. A narrow road runs through what seems like a small hilltop oasis. Most of the wooden buildings with floor-to-ceiling windows are teepee-shaped, making the hilltop village seem like a yoga retreat center. Before reaching the memorial, brown-horned goats frolic and stare. At the memorial, in front of the cemetery gate, there is a metal drawer, which holds a book listing all of the known victims killed at Grafeneck. Names in the book are family name alphabetical. There is a Fries, Josepha, and a Fries, Karl Vitus, my ancestors, if in name only. On the way to the memorial exhibit, chickens scurry on the road. I stop the car to let a woman, who I assume is a sanatorium resident, unsteadily shuffle by. She never looks up from the road. What sets Grafeneck apart, besides its extreme isolation from all of the other T4 sites, is the confrontation with the lives of today's patients. Here at Grafeneck, the continuum between what happened and the present is most evident. Here there are no remains whatsoever of the gas chamber and crematorium. Unlike at other T4 sites, the memorials here are not separated from the contemporary hospital. The exhibit at Grafeneck is small. There is a photo of the barn-like structure in which the gas chambers were housed. Also, there is a photo of 3 men inside the same structure. 2 of the men are wearing suits and hats from a later era. One of the men points to an outline in the wall that looks like a door, which could be where the gas chamber door once was. This is a photo of the barn just before it was destroyed. In 1965, when the barn-like structure in which the gas chamber was housed, its destruction, according to Knittel, met with unanimous public approval. In its place was built a stone building used for hilltop agriculture, which helped support the institution. It was from this building from which the chickens had scurried onto the road. Stuttgart Police Commissioner Christian Wirth led the first gassings at Grafeneck. He ran Grafeneck with such efficiency that he became the head inspector for all the T4 killing centers. He later became the first commander of Belzec, and later the inspector of Belzec, Treblinka, and Sobibor. About 15 who worked with him at Grafeneck went with Wirth to the extermination camps. In 1943, when Action Reinhardt ended, Wirth went to Trieste. There he worked to fight Yugoslav and Italian partisans, deport Jews, and establish Riseria San Saba, the concentration camp and killing center in Trieste. Among those deported were Jewish institutionalized patients. The Jewish patients were the only patients in the region to be deported and killed. In May 1944, Yugoslav partisans killed Wirth, who was traveling in an open-roofed car on an official trip to Fiume. He was buried with full military honors in the German military cemetery at Constermano, Lake Garda, Italy. Surrounding two sides of the exhibit, visible from inside and outside, are shelves with thousands of white and pink human figures. They could be ancient Japanese haniwa or clay voodoo dolls. The terracotta figures are face up, arms to the side. They are packed together, some on top of each other. Close up, the figures seem somewhat crudely made, as if they still have not been fired. These figures represent the over 10,000 killed here at Grafeneck. Walking from the exhibit, it occurs to me that all the figures are the same. Though the effect is powerful, the fact of the uniformity of the figures doesn't seem an appropriate memorialization of those killed because they were deemed different. The administration office is off limits. On the other side of the building is the end of the hill from which the road leading to Grafeneck can be seen. Returning from the main castle building, I hear something that sounds like a shower of small pebbles hitting the ground. I turn and see an elderly man sitting and digging in a small ditch. Once he has enough dirt and sand in his hand, he raises it above his head, then scatters debris over his outstretched legs. Does he know what happened here? I imagine he might be trying to bury himself alive.